Hello and welcome everybody to the next race on the F2 calendar. We are excited to see what the Circuit des Spa-Francorchamps has to bring this weekend for our F2 drivers, as we are getting ever so closer to the end of the season, which will decide the winners for the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship.
I'm sure everyone watching is as excited as we are. There is some overcast weather here in Spa, but that shouldn't affect how the drivers perform on track. The best thing that can happen is that the drivers have a little bit of a better time managing their tyres with the cooler weather, not having to rely so much on cooling their brakes, etc. I'm positive that we will see drivers throughout the rest of this weekend push their way through the grid for those important points positions, especially as we are closing out the season with a few races remaining.
There is plenty of action to come as we are nearing qualifying, but first we are checking in with Will Buxton and Ted Kravitz, who are down in the paddock. How are you guys there, Ted?
We were actually talking about the weather down here, a little bit of a cool breeze coming through as we see drivers and teams preparing for qualifying, but as of right now, there is no rain to be seen on the radar. Of course, all of the teams are monitoring this frequently in order to make sure their drivers can get out on the track and set a lap in case there is rain coming in. But from what I can see here, there are plenty of blue patches of sky, so we shouldn't have to worry.
That's right, the fact that there are no signs of weather make this weekend's race for F2 a perfect opportunity for Carlin driver Liam Lawson to secure the Drivers' Championship. He practically can DNF and still win the championship with his points lead. So I believe that no matter the outcome of today's race, Liam Lawson will become this year's F2 driver champion.
There you have it, a strongly predicted championship victory coming up for Liam Lawson as we head into F2 qualifying.
Okay, good job, mate. Really, really well done. That was a fantastic drive. Bring it home.
So qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top three are Johnson, Lawson, Logan Sargent. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action, and until then, goodbye. Located in the Ardennes countryside, Spa has been hosting races for almost a century, and it's revered by drivers and fans alike. So it's a joy to be here today, as we prepare for the next thrilling instalment of the Formula 2 race calendar. So here we are again, a whopping 3.5 miles of track here at Spa, featuring long straights, some seriously fast corners, and some massive elevation changes. This is a track that routinely delivers high-quality racing, and we'll be hoping to see just that from our young F2 drivers today. With that then, let's run through the grid order. Johnson lines up on pole position, and it's Liam Lawson alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sargent, Calderon, Yuri Vips and Pourchaire, Sato, Awasa, Dragovic, Frederick Vesti, Fittipaldi, Hauger, Roy Nissani, Marcus Armstrong, and Deruvala, Novalak, Caldwell, Callan Williams, Cordial, Hughes, Boschong, and Richard Verschoor completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's get down to the track. I'm not the only one sitting here today who's looking forward to today's race. My friend and GP2 champion Davide Valsecchi is next to me, already on the edge of his seat, awaiting the start of the event. How's it going today?
Hello there, Alex. I'm great, thank you, and very excited to get started. I have a feeling we are in for a very special event today.
The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out. We are almost ready to start the Formula 2 race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
And there we are with our possible race strategies. We're going to be taking the first possible strategy with a medium run till lap 7 or so, the end of lap 6, start of lap 7, and then run soft to the end. But we're going to have to see how we perform against both of the Carlin cars. We have Logan Sargent there behind us and Lawson there side by side with us. And it's going to be a 2-3 Carlin, and Sato's going to be back there a few positions. So we're going to have a pretty rough start to this race, but we shouldn't have too much issue, especially with the fight we have to put in today to try and stop Lawson from getting that league championship here in F2. Our 5 red lights are on, and now they are off. We're off to an okay start. We can see a couple position changes off the start here. Lawson and Sargent are going to be side by side behind us here through turn 1, looking for a good exit as we make our way up to Eau Rouge now. As Sargent actually moves up into P2, you can see we're already 0.9 seconds behind. That side-by-side action from them gave us a little bit of an opportunity, a little bit of breathing room, but we do have to take precaution with these F2 cars up through Eau Rouge. And it's a very fast uphill section, and we do not want to throw this car into the gravel. We're already 8/10 ahead here as we're coming through the first chicane here in Sector 1, towards the end of Sector 1. And you can see Lawson and Sargent are still fighting for position. This is going to be over a second now. 1.1 trying to push for 1.2, but we're going to make a little bit of a wide run here through this downhill section. 1.2 fluctuating between a second and 1.2 as we're starting our downhill run towards the end of Sector 2. And feeling a little bit okay, but we did make a mistake here, coming around a little bit too wide. And Sargent closing in. You can see 6/10 there as Lawson is basically waiting behind the gearbox of Sargent for his move. Wish we could have had a better angle through this sector as we make another left turn there. And I felt like we were clear of that perspective, so we make a little mistake here on this double right-hander. Back to this where we can't see anything. It's all trees. Sargent already 3/10 behind us, and Lawson and Sargent have the engine power. They went down earlier than I did as we're coming through at the end of Sector 3, and their fight is going to be right there, right behind us, going a little wide. See, Sargent was side by side there momentarily. Lawson's trying to make a move up on the right side as we hit our braking point. I feel like we could have done a lot better here, but Lawson's going to be back on the P2 against Sargent. 6/10 or so out of that final corner, and DRS will be active next lap, but this piece of racing action isn't over yet. Lap 2, Lawson 7/10 behind us, Sargent 6/10 behind his own teammate for P2 and P3, and I felt like we're running pretty well up through Eau Rouge, but we let off a little bit too much. You see the second little snap of oversteer there, and you can see Lawson closing in now. 4/10, 3/10, 2/10 of a second, and he's going to be making that move on the inside. Can't really see it in the mirrors. He's going to try to make a move on the inside. We brake late through this Sector 1 chicane. Sector 2, I don't quite know where the line is, but I know this is the start of Sector 2 as Hughes and Cordelia in the backfield swapping positions, and we're still trying to fend off Lawson and Logan Sargent. We make a mistake here to this long right-hander, and that gives Lawson the opportunity to make a move on the inside, and we file in behind him. Sometimes I feel a lot more comfortable when I don't start in first because I make mistakes a lot easier, but we're going to have to run behind Lawson and see if we can keep up with him throughout the rest of this first stint. Sargent 4/10 behind, and we're about 3/10 behind Lawson already. See, he's already trying to pull away up towards 4/10 now as we're coming through Sector 2. And by the time we get to lap 6, the end of lap 6 is whenever we're going to be coming in for our pit stop. You can see Lawson is already 9.2 seconds ahead He is so far ahead, and we're barely able to keep Sargent outside of our DRS. We had a little snap of oversteer coming out of Eau Rouge. That gives Sargent an opportunity with DRS to catch up to us. You can see that time dropping in. I believe it was about 8/10 as we were coming through Eau Rouge. And now he's 3/10, 4/10 coming through this first chicane. And we're still losing time against Liam Lawson. He's going to be a long shot for us to try to defeat. And our teammate Sato not doing too bad back there in P6 as we make the same mistake against Sargent, going too wide through that downhill right-hander. And Sargent moving up into P2. That's going to be a front row lockout finish for Lawson and Sargent if they continue as is. And you can see we're already starting to lose pace on Sargent as well as we're coming through downhill. You can tell we are dealing with that tire life here at the end of these medium tires and swapping over to the soft tires. Calderon close behind, 3/10 in P4. Vips, Sato, Awasa, Porcher, Drogovic, Vesti to round out the end of the rest of the top 10 as we try to fight against Lawson and Sargent, sorry. But the end of lap 6, we have, I believe it's Hughes, another technical issue. See Hughes dropping down there in the grid where they had same issue as before, where a car pretty much stops on the track and causes a safety car. This is lap 7 under the safety car, where we're going to be coming into the pits, and I believe everybody else is going to be coming into the pits. And we're just cruising, staying under the delta, as you can see the marker there. But feeling pretty well that this safety car can definitely help us out, and we'll have to wait and see what happens after the safety car. But as we are coming down the hill, it's going to be a very unfortunate end for us, as we do have an engine failure and we do have to pull off to the side, which basically ruins our race today here in Spa.
There were questions at the start of the season as to whether they could really go all the way, but there's no question anymore. What a special year it's been, and here they are, the new Formula 2 World Drivers' Champion. So another fantastic victory for Virtuosi. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. The lead at the top has come down after a poor result for our points leader. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
Let's give it to Marino Sato. That was a quality drive from start to finish. He can be proud of that one.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Teams' Championship. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Another team that excelled today was Dams, who make further progress up the table. After all this drama, you would be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.